In the midst of the 19th century, Herman Melville once wrote of the Pacific, "There is one knows not what sweet mystery about this sea, whose gently awful stirring seem to speak of some hidden soul beneath. This mysterious, divine Pacific zooms the whole world's bulk about, makes all coasts one bay to it, seems the tide-beating heart of earth." To begin our journey, we take a flight out of Orange County, John Wayne Airport to be exact, as we fly out of Southern California and head all the way up to the Pacific Northwest, to Seattle. As our plane continued to gain altitude on the flight to Seattle, and from our departure from John Wayne Airport in Orange County, I was able to see down below and see both Newport and Huntington beaches and much of the Pacific Ocean. As our route continued northwards, I could look out my window and see vast swaths of Los Angeles and LA and San Bernardino counties, with the immense urban sprawl across much of the region. As I zoom in, you can see the concrete jungle that is Los Angeles as we gain altitude at some 20,000 plus feet, traveling at about 500 or so miles per hour. 3 hours later into my flight, I had woken up and looked out my window to behold a massive volcanic mountain as we flew over the state of Oregon. If any one of my viewers can put in the comments the name of this mountain, I'd be duly obliged and appreciative of your efforts. Yet as soon as we had landed in Seattle, we had left on the docks. As we embarked on our Royal Caribbean cruise ship to Alaska, the name of our specific vessel was the Explorer of the Seas, one of the largest cruise ships in the world, carrying over 4,000 passengers, and completed in the year 2000 and refurbished in the year 2015. The ship weighs up to 138,000 tons and is the largest ship to sail in Alaskan waters. As we leave the Puget Sound and say goodbye to the lower 48, you can see Seattle in the background as we look out from our room on the starboard side of our ship. Mount Rainier is in the distance, dominating much of Seattle's skyline. The journey across the ocean was 2 full days until we reached Alaska. Much of our family's relaxation time included playing miniature golf on the top deck and eating tons and tons of food. Appetizers, pasta, ice cream desserts, and of course, delicious, delicious salmon. And as the days passed by, I had awoken at about 8 in the morning to look out the starboard side of our ship. I was in Alaska. As we traveled north up the Alaskan Panhandle, our first port of call was Juneau, Alaska. Yet, like Seattle, we were only there for a brief moment, and to confound matters, my phone had died as we had disembarked from the ship, so I wasn't able to show much of Alaska's state capital, as the planes were flying over by. Yet I was able to take a few quick photos of the Red Dog Saloon, the best little joint this side of the Mississippi, with liquor items such as cheap shit, expensive shit, really expensive shit, and of course, duck fart. And as soon as we had disembarked, we were back on the ship eating more delicious foods, such as salads, soups, and scrumptious apple pie, as we traveled to our next destination, the small town of Skagway. Skagway is a small town of less than 1,000 people and is a historic mining town during the Klondike Gold Rush that brought thousands upon thousands of prospectors hoping to make it rich in the Panhandle region of Alaska. One of the main tourist attractions in Skagway is the White Pass and Yukon Route, which is a small railroad linking the port of Skagway, Alaska, with Whitehorse, the capital of the Yukon Territory in Canada. This railroad was built in 1898, and words cannot express the beauty in these images that you are about to see. Traveling to and fro on the mountain pass from the Canadian border back into the United States, Skagway was an epic adventure, a train ride to never forget, as it had given us a craving of adventure back in town. Yet soon after we were walking back to the docks to embark on our ship to the next port of call. However, it had given way to an amazing evening of beautiful sunsets. The rest you can enjoy. As we look past the sunset and say goodbye to Skagway along the Chilkoot Inlet, I had hunkered down for the night in my room to prepare myself for the next day of adventure. As our journey takes us south of Juneau, along the Stevens Passage, I had awoken and looked to behold that I was in the fjord of Tracy's Arm and the multiple glaciers within.
reason it's going that fast. Look, my skirt.
Spending the good part of the morning in the midst of the glaciers within the fjord of Tracy's Arm, our next port of call was to head south through the many waters and channels as we say goodbye to Alaska. Our next stop was Vancouver Island.
It's a little over 1,000 feet long. Show me one of the.
After looking out the starboard side of my room and the last visible islands of the Alaskan Panhandle, it was but a day's journey south. In the meantime, I was stuffing my face with many delicious fruits and sandwiches, and of course a memorable bowl of French onion soup. Until then, we had entered Canada, Victoria, Canada to be exact, on the southern tip of Vancouver Island in the province of British Columbia. As you can see here in much of the imagery, massive wildfires had devastated much of the forestry along British Columbia during that time. And you can see here we decided to improve our air quality by heading over to the Victoria Butterfly Gardens, which was definitely a breath of fresh air, to say the least. As we spent an hour or so at the Victoria Butterfly Gardens, our next stop was Bouchard Gardens, one of the dandiest places in all of British Columbia. Receiving over 1 million visitors a year, Bouchard Gardens is a floral masterpiece, and, if not the West Coast's best garden in all of North America. As we head out from Bouchard Gardens and wrap up the journey of exploration into the far north of Alaska's Southwest Passage and Victoria and Vancouver Island in British Columbia, I had managed to acquire enough time to buy myself my first legal beer in Victoria before the ship disembarked back home to Seattle. In a random pub, I bought myself a glass of local hard cider. So as always, take care and God bless.